If you've watched some of my other videos, I think it's pretty obvious I'm a big fan of Bohning's products. They make a great vane. To the fact that, you know, I have stripped everything else off and the only thing I've got on arrows now are Bohning. Well, Bohning decided I needed to try out their latest fletching jig. So let's talk about the Cauldron. Despite having kind of a small channel here on YouTube, someone at Bohning got to see some of my videos. They decided they wanted me to try out their new fletching jig. So they sent me this box to try out the Cauldron Fletching Jig. Now this is a tower jig, which means you stand the arrow up and it fletches all three vanes at the same time. I've put it to use and I've done a couple here, and I'm gonna be honest, it does a great job. So I figured, how about I bring you in and you help me fletch up the last couple arrows, and we'll decide if this is something maybe you need. The first thing I noticed about this is just how modular it is. What sets this apart from basically every other tower jig on the market is that you can fletch just about any arrow you want with this, and you don't need a bunch of extra parts. So this thing will fletch anything from a 4mm or the 1/66 diameter all the way up to the 27 diameter shafts for target arrows. You've got all these different inserts. It'll do straight, it'll do 1 degree left, 3 degree left, 1 degree right, 3 degree right, and it does that all in one box. Other jigs, they require different collars based on which diameter arrow you're doing, or different inserts in the bottom. This doesn't require any of that. It all works, it can do all arrows, and it puts a nice helical, which is what I like. I run a 3 degree right, and it puts a really nice helical on there. Like every other video I've done about fletching arrows, things that are nice to have: Q-tips, paper towels, and I like these little craft sticks to help spread glue. Before you get started, you're going to want to check at the bottom here. This actually has an index mark because inside there's actually a knock receiver. It's kind of hard to hold it so you can see it, but there's a knock receiver in there, and you can actually index that. So you're going to want to index that correctly. So what I've done is I've indexed it the way I want, and I've just put a piece of tape on the top so I remember which way to put my arrows in. Because I spine align my arrows using the bend test. So there's a mark right there. I don't know if you can see that, but that correlates. That mark needs to be lined up with this piece of tape. That helps me keep it straight. So to load this thing up, all we're going to do is, after we've got our inserts in, just put our vanes in, nice and easy. One of the biggest reasons I became a big fan of the Bohning products is because they don't require any extra steps. With these arrows, all I did was just wipe them down with some alcohol, and that's all I did. I'm not doing any prep on the vanes. I'm not doing any weird prep on the shafts. I'm not scouring them. I'm not doing anything like that. I just wiped them off, and we're going to stick them. So with the vanes in there, it's easier to glue them before you stick the arrow in. So I'm just using Bohning's Blazer Bond. And you're going to run some glue on each of these vanes. Put some drops down the... So I'm going to come back with that Q-tip, or not the Q-tip, but that little craft stick, and spread these out. So put some on there, and I'm just going to run this in here, make sure it's got glue on all surfaces without sticking my hand in that one. I'm just going to make sure this glue is spread out. Here we go. Now, one thing I have noticed with this, and it's part of because of the modularity of it, is these things can shift and slide a little bit. So you need to make sure they're down all the way before you put your arrow in here. So now I've got my index mark. I'm going to line that up with the one I put the tape on. That's to help me. You got to push this down a little bit because that opens the inside, allows us to go to the knock receiver. As you close that, it fits around the shaft down here at the bottom. And then we're just going to close these up. Nice and easy. Make sure everybody fits. We're going to take the collar, slide it over the top, and down until it fits. Now the other part that's unique with this is a one-size-do-all collar. So other previous Bohning products, they actually had different size collars depending on which arrow you were doing. They also had different size inserts down here, and you had to take the nocks out. This one allows you to fletch with the nocks in, and there's only one collar. This thing's actually adjustable. If you just twist it, you can change which size you're using it for the arrows. After about 30 seconds, I'm gonna pull this off. Let's pull these down slowly. And now I have got a beautiful arrow ready to rock and roll. Now the cool part with this is it puts a nice even pressure all along the vein, so it gets a good seal and good adherence. I don't really have a whole lot of overglue on that, so I'm just going to leave it as is. I'm going to slide that down here, and we're going to do one more. One thing I really wanted to point out, especially on the helicals, is if you look at this, you'll notice it's actually got a twist built into it, because that's what it means to have a helical. And same thing on this side, it's built up over here, so it twists that vein, so when it comes off the jig, they look like that. So I've been using a Bittsburger for years now, building my own arrows. And I like the modularity of a Bitsenberger. It allows you to do different fletching configurations and stuff. And it's a great jig. I'm not going to tell anybody don't use a Bitsenberger. And I've also been a big fan of 4-fletch for quite a while, but with the amount of helical this puts on, I'm guessing this puts enough twist to help my arrows manage single bevel broadheads. I don't think I need to run that 4th vein, because it is doing a great job of getting these arrows twisted. Or sorry, getting the veins twisted. These things are also adjustable. I don't know if you can notice there's a blue piece down here. You can move that, and that allows you to change where the vein sits on the arrow. I think it's adjustable by like 3/4 of an inch or something. You can move it up and down. So you can get all the flexibility you want with this. All right, so I've got my index mark again. So push this down, drop it into the insert, and we're going to close it up. The thing I like about this product is it's kind of dummy proof, just like the vanes. There doesn't take a lot of extra effort. This is something that I've got one of my daughters who's really starting to get into archery. She just got done competing in the Texas State NASP competition. Did great, set new personal best for her bullseye and 3D shooting. She's wanting to go hunt with me now. And she's like, Dad, I want to build arrows. Well, this is something that I can turn her loose with, and she can build arrows. The other thing is even if she messes up or gets glue all over this, Bohning designed this that you can just drop this stuff straight into acetone to let it clean itself off. So it's super easy to clean up. It's easy to use. It's kind of dummy proof. I can let my 11-year-old use it, and it produces some great looking arrows. And there it is. Now for the demonstration of why I love Bohning products. Now, this is one I did last night. This was the very first one. The fletchings look great. The problem is I put it in here backwards. So I fletched this so my cock vein is down instead of up. So I could just twist the nock and shoot it, but I have my arrows all spine indexed, so I want it right. So I need to take these off and refletch it. But I figured I might as well demonstrate. Let's see what it's going to take to get these off. Because I'm guessing I'm not going to be able to just pull them off. We're going to have to cut them off. So let's get some pliers here. And let's see if I can pull any of these veins off. Again, there was no prep done other than just wiping the shafts down. There's no prep on the veins. They come pre-prepped. You don't have to do anything special. I'm using their glue and their veins. And yeah. You're not going to tear them off. The veins are going to rip before the glue comes loose. I've used a few other brands of veins. None of them stick like this. They just don't. and that's why I like these. It's just hard to beat. I'm also a big fan of the heat vanes here because I did a small, very, very unscientific analysis of surface area to weight comparison. And for me, the heat vanes provide the most surface area for the least amount of weight. So if you're looking to build a lightweight arrow, which is what I'm doing with these ones, I'm setting these arrows up to go down to Conroe, Texas in a couple weeks because there is an R100 shoot that I'm going to go to, and I wanted to build something light and fast. And so these heat vanes are the lightest vane they have that still has some good surface area to them. Are there lighter vanes? Yes. Surface area to weight, it's hard to beat the heat vane. Now, their new one, this is the Atlas vane that I've got on my target arrows. These things are gorgeous. I think they look amazing. They're just heavier. And so, since I was trying to do lightweight, I went with the heat vane instead. Well, since I can't seem to pull those off, I'm just going to have to cut them off and refletch this one off camera. I do need to state, this is not paid promotion by Bohning, but they did send me this to have me try. I'm a fan. This is probably going to be my go-to fletching jig for most of what I'm going to be doing. Now, in the event that I still need a 4-fletch for something, I'll probably have to use the Bitzenberger. But this thing is going to do probably 80-90% of what fletching needs I'm going to have in the future. The Cauldron's relatively affordable if you consider what it's offering. The fact that you can have so many vane configurations all in a single use unit that doesn't require a bunch of setup. It fits any diameter arrow. You don't have to adjust or play with anything other than the ring. And this just has 3 settings, and all you do is twist this to adjust it depending on which diameter arrows you're using. It's that easy, and you can customize it and set it up any way you want. Right helical, left helical, straight. You can move the vane up and down the shaft. It'll fletch any diameter arrow. It's hard to beat. You can pick these up on Amazon, or you can order them directly from Bohning at bohning.com. With that, I'm going to cut you loose. I got to get these arrows finished up so I can start practicing with them. But if you hadn't noticed, there might be a new rest and a new sight sitting here on the bench. That's because I got to get this project put together for the R100.